All right, today we're digging into this really powerful story from the Philippines. It's called Roots and Rivers, and it's all about how one community is literally taking the future of its ecosystem into its own hands. You'll see it's an amazing blueprint for local action. So, our story starts in a place called the Northern Negros Natural Park. Now, you can basically think of it as the island's green lung. I mean, it's absolutely essential for water, for wildlife, and for the climate. But there's a pretty serious problem brewing. Yeah, and a line from the source material it really captures the urgency. It says, "This lifeline is fraying." And that just paints such a vivid picture, doesn't it? We're talking about an ecosystem under huge stress. You've got degraded grasslands, a constant risk of fire, and it's pushing this crucial forest and the people who depend on it right to the very edge. So, you might be asking, what's really at stake here? Well, if things keep going this way, first, the watershed, the source of fresh water, it's shrinking. Second, you have all these unique species that live nowhere else on Earth, things like the Negro's bleeding heart dove and the Visayan warty pig, and they're losing their homes. And maybe most importantly, local families are facing a growing threat from droughts, floods, and even landslides. The stakes? They really couldn't be higher. But here's the thing, and this is the inspiring part. The local people, they are not just standing by and watching this happen. No way. They have these dedicated community forest guards, known locally as the Bantay Bukid, and they're ready to act. They are so willing and able to protect their home. The only thing that's been missing? Consistent, sustainable support to turn all that passion into a real, solid plan. And that, right there, is where the Roots and Rivers project comes in. And this is so key. It's not some top-down solution dreamed up by outsiders. Nope. This is the community's own vision for how to heal their land, just brought to life with some strategic support. And just look at their goals. They are so clear and measurable. Over the next 3 years, they're talking about restoring 30 hectares of forest with a super high survival rate for the trees. They're looking for a real, tangible boost in key wildlife sightings. And, this is huge, creating real income for 50 local households. It's ambitious, for sure, but it's also incredibly grounded. Okay, so having a great vision is one thing, right? But how are they actually going to pull this off? Well, their whole strategy is built on this really smart three-pronged approach to restoring the forest. So step one, they're going to use a method called assisted natural regeneration. It's basically a super cost-effective way to just give the native forest a helping hand to heal itself. Then, step two, they'll enrich that natural growth by planting 6,000 native tree seedlings. And finally, step three, they'll create these buffer zones using crops like coffee and cacao, and that's brilliant because it both protects the forest and provides income for the community. Of course, restoring the forest is really only half the battle, right? You've got to protect it. And this is where those Bantay Bukit, the forest guards, come back in. 10 guards are going to get monthly stipends to conduct regular patrols, maintain 5 kilometers of fire breaks, and use simple but really effective tools like logbooks and photos to report what they find. It's just so practical and sustainable. So the big question is, how will they know if it's all actually working? Well, this is where the project gets really, really cool. They're blending cutting-edge technology with that invaluable local knowledge. Get this. Once a year, they're going to fly a drone over the area. This gives them this amazing, high-level, data-rich picture of the forest canopy. What does that do? It gives them undeniable proof of what's working and what isn't, so they can track their progress and tweak their strategy year after year. And this slide just illustrates that whole approach perfectly. On the one hand, you've got the high-tech stuff, like tools for geotagging data, but on the other hand, you've got community members out there doing bird counts and checking on the health of the streams with their own eyes. It's this beautiful combination of hard data and on-the-ground wisdom that makes their monitoring so powerful. All right, any solid plan needs a solid budget and a clear timeline to be taken seriously, right? So let's take a look at the numbers and the schedule for this project. So everything is mapped out over 3 years, with really clear milestones. Year 1 is all about laying the groundwork, setting up the nursery, getting the patrols started. Then, in Year 2, they really scale up the restoration work. And by Year 3, the focus shifts to something super important, finalizing the local co-management agreements. That's what ensures this work continues long, long after the official project ends. So where's the money actually going? This chart shows a really healthy breakdown. You can see the biggest chunks go directly to community patrols and to operations and staff. And what that tells you is that the investment is going right to the people on the ground who are doing the actual work. This is not some project that's bogged down by overhead. It is all about action. And the total price tag for this entire 3-year vision? It's a remarkably grounded $60,000. That's it. It's just a testament to how lean, how efficient, and how locally driven this model is. It's designed to get the absolute maximum impact out of every single dollar. Okay, so we've seen the plan, we've seen the budget, we've seen the goals. But let's ask the big question. Why does this one project in this one community really matter in the grand scheme of things? Let's zoom out for a second. What makes this project such a powerful model isn't just one thing. It's the whole package. It's locally led, which means it has real community buy-in. Its goals are quantifiable, which means it's accountable. It directly builds resiliency to things like fire and floods, and it's inclusive, which means the success is shared by everyone, making the whole thing truly sustainable for the long haul. And all of this kind of leaves us with one final big thought. We live in a world that's always searching for the next high-tech, silver bullet solution for our environmental problems. But this project, it asks a really compelling question. What if the best, most resilient solutions aren't new apps or gadgets? What if they're empowered communities with deep, deep roots in the very lands they're fighting so hard to protect?